Ladies and gentlemen, members of the press, welcome to today's episode of the Live Painting Channel. My name is Warren Stokes, your host. We just finished a really fun series of paintings. Finished this one last week. It's inspired by a Claude Monet painting called The Bridge at Argenteuil. He's got several of them. Argenteuil is a little area outside Paris where a lot of the French Impressionists would gather and paint. Sometimes they paint together in open air, plein air they call it. And I just thought I would try to improve upon those paintings. So see how you like that. Anyway, many of you saw us paint this one. I was just zooming in on a few more details here. Over here so we don't get in the way. The challenging part happened to be, really, it was the couple things. The lines on the boat presented a bit of a challenge, and I may have showed you last week that we invented a new technique for that. It's called the threado line. Interesting. I just got the idea. I soaked some sewing thread in a mixture of paint, kind of a thin solution. I just snapped it on there. It's kind of hard to paint that kind of a line, so hey, whatever works, right? The other challenge was getting the reflections in the water. I've added a little bit, actually, since we finished that. Yeah, right, those are stays, not line. Good point there, Bullet Rose. So, by the way, if you're interested in nautical terminology, the fore and aft lines that hold up the mast are called stays. And anyone in the audience that knows what the ones that go from port to starboard that hold up the mast, for extra credit, you go ahead and shout that out. Yeah, I added the reflection of the boat in the water, and really pretty happy with this painting. It just actually makes me feel good just to look at it. I'll pan around it a little bit. The bridge was quite challenging. I must have spent more time on the bridge than any other element in the painting. Kind of like the way it turned out. A little chateau or villa in the back, the bridge tower. Worked on the sailboat guy a little bit more. The guy in the little sailing dinghy there. Reminds me of my early days of boating when I built a little 12-foot sailboat and sailed it. A lot of fun. Anyway, the Bridge at Argenteuil. The improved version over Claude Monet, eh? All right. Hey, guess what? We're going to start a new painting today. And I had a request last week to do one of the kind of scenes from our boating adventures. Boating must be on my mind. So guess what? Decided to do one. I took a lot of boating adventures. Sailed a lot around the Puget Sound on a couple of 3 different boats. The most recent one was a 21-foot sloop. Nice little boat. It's called a Northwest 21. We named it Ruthie after my late mother. And we had a lot of fun on that. Amber and Jason and I mostly, we went on quite a few tours. Tell you, I won't get into all the storytelling or I won't have time to paint today, but we had a wonderful time, at least I did. Some of the best scenery and excitement and food. Amazing how good food tastes when you're out there on the water and all you got's what you brought with you, huh? It's kind of like backpacking. Anyway, to continue with our boating theme, I thought I'd paint another one. This one is actually a scene from our cruise. Go ahead and mount the canvas here. There we go. See if that all shows up in the picture. Yeah. Can't see too much of it, but what I'm going to do is kind of explain the composition. This is one of those 2.236 rectangles, which I've come to really enjoy, but a bigger one than I've done in the past. Let me show you an example of one that just to give you kind of a scale here. This is my other 2.236 rectangle, which, by the way, same basic dimensions as Leonardo da Vinci uses a lot, including in The Last Supper. This was of a golf course, by the way. Hey, while we're at it, let's just pan in if you didn't see this one. It was a fun painting to do. Wow. golf course up on Vancouver Island. Nice little painting. Anyway, I point that out because the dimensions are the same as the one we're working on today, and it's one of my new favorite dimensions. So, man, we're going to have to really get busy here, get something done. Yeah, we better just start painting. So we got a decision to make here, a couple of key decisions, and I'm going to let the audience participate. You might be painting along, for that matter, painting your own painting. But today it is a scene, kind of a tranquil scene. I don't know if you can see the detail here, but the story to sketch it out. There's the sloop Ruthie sitting at anchor off Blake Island. Got a little bit of the mountain in there, Mount Rainier. The big question is, how do we want to portray the weather? And I'm going to just kind of let the audience chime in on this. We could do something that's relatively calm and neutral, or we could do something kind of exciting like a sunrise or a sunset. It's going to change my palette dramatically, so let's go ahead and let me check my chat panel here and see what people are saying about that. All right. Well, if you have an opinion, you better speak up soon. This is going to be whatever I make it today. And I just realized I might have to get the painter's curse. I didn't bring in enough water, so I'm going to get one more water here. Yeah, I got so involved in the lighting this morning and today I forgot to refill my waters here. Must have plenty of water for painting, especially with acrylics. If you do an oil, of course, it's a mixture of turpentine and linseed oil. Hey, maybe I'll get back into some oil painting. That'd be awesome. All right, Wisconsin says calm and dreamy. And yes, this is going to be in the style of Claude Monet. And again, what I do is I seek to improve upon the great masters. You've just joined the live painting channel. My name is Warren Stokes. We're getting started here. So let's roll. Well, here's the thing. We've got to really start with the sky, because in a painting, it helps to start in the back. Farthest thing back. Kind of think about it, right? What's the farthest thing back in a landscape? Usually the sky. Then I've got the mountain, and I've got some islands, and then I've got the boat, and this is all just water here. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of go with the Wisconsin suggestion here, and people joined from all over the place on the live painting channel. Again, welcome to the show. We broadcast this live every Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific time, almost every Sunday anyway. I think I've got close to 40 of these episodes now recorded. You can catch them, you can watch the videos, watch them on YouTube or Facebook. And we broadcast them on Twitch. So if you get a moment and you haven't already done so, follow me on Twitch, because I need some more followers so I can post the videos there. It's a big video gamers kind of live broadcasting site, but it's also the home of Bob Ross. A lot of his channels are on that. So yeah, go ahead and follow me on Twitch, but you can always just find the live painting channel just by searching for live painting channel on YouTube or Facebook. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and get started, and we're going to kind of start at least with a tranquil theme. And thanks Wisconsin for suggesting that. It's kind of the way I feel today, in fact. So that's good. I mean, I may depart from that just to warn you. You never know. When you're painting, you're in control of the subject matter. But we're going to start just by loading up my palette. which today, ultramarine blue. I don't use that a lot, but today that's going to be the blue. Little Payne's gray throughout my palette, lots of white. And we're just going to go ahead and mix up some sky. Mix us up some sky. It's going to be, as you'll see, it's going to look a little bit quite gray, actually. Quite gray. But you know, we do live in the Pacific Northwest, and I've come to kind of like gray as a color. I guess the skies are gray a lot. Right? You follow me on that? Okay, I got a nice little mixture, a big old mixture, kind of bluish gray. I'm going to put lots of white in it. And let's go to town here. Now, for this, actually, I just bought a new brush. Check it out. Nice new brush. Ooh, look at that. Look how nice that is. I think it'll be good for painting my sky. Our sky, because you're all participating here. So, I'm just going to load that brush up, and we're going to start painting. See how nice and, well, it looks kind of bluish more on the video, but it's a lot of gray in that. I wonder if you can hear the brush strokes, if the mic is that good. Anyone out there in the audience, tell me if you can hear the brush strokes. Kind of like listening to the ticking of the clock. Leave a little room for the mountain. Of course. Ooh, that's fun. Zoom in on that a little bit. Just painting some background. So as I like to say when you're doing a painting, you've got to start at the beginning. People say, oh, what's that? Well, the beginning is what? Getting your paint and palette set up. How about your canvas stretched or proportioned? Well, all of those. But the first thing I like to do is to get inspired. So you need inspiration. And in this case, I got my inspiration today from my son Jason, who said he'd like to see a painting of, or just let's all do a painting of our sailing adventures. And this one's going to be the sloop Ruthie, anchored off Blake Island, which is a nice little marine park in Washington State. In case you never noticed, the sky tends to be lighter towards the horizon. So I'm going to add some lighter down here at the horizon. I've often mused how amazing it is when you look at the progression of a painting, how simple it starts, huh? And then how complicated we can all make it. Now I did go out and get a massive amount of titanium white. You can get things in tubes, but you can also get them in these big bottles. Basic titanium white acrylic. I paint acrylic on this show because it's fast. Dries fast. Ooh, that's a lot of white. Let's go for the white. Let's just keep on adding that white in there. I like it kind of sloppy at first. That's actually pretty nice. Ooh, stop, don't mess with it right now. That's pretty darn good. Move that over here. Okay. We're going to let the dust settle on that one a little bit. We're going to do a little bit of that middle ground, which in this case constitutes an island out there, another island. And contrary to popular belief, trees don't always show up as green. No, sometimes they show up as kind of a dark gray. Depends on the weather. So we're just going to start roughing in the island here. It's pretty dark. Now today I've chosen some compositional elements that I personally like. You know, you always have your choice. Where do you put the elements in a painting, right? Well, in this case, you'll see, you might be able to see the sailboat, that mast right there. Yep, it's on a dynamically symmetrical point. The mountain sits on one, the horizon sits on one. Learning all the trade secrets here. Yep. Just a simple beginning. And by the way, if you've just joined us, you have stumbled upon the live painting channel. My name is Warren Stokes, your host. We're painting a picture today of one of our sailing adventures. Got another little, I think this one over here is kind of a headland from the mainland. Sticking out there in the beautiful Puget Sound. What fun. Okay, I better get some of that mountain roughed in, huh? What do you think? Well, let's do it. Take a little smaller brush. See, about 1/4 inch little chisel brush. Let's get ourselves some of that mountain roughed in there. Another thing to consider when you're painting is the direction of light. You want to establish that because generally speaking, at least in nature, you know, light comes from the sun. I got it coming from the, let's see, we're kind of facing south, so that's coming from the southwest there. Now this is going to be interesting because what I want to do is give the impression the mountain is sort of floating, because that's how you see it a lot. This is Mount Rainier in Washington State. So what I want to do as I work on this is just create kind of an interesting impression of it, but floating almost. I have some reference materials too here. So for example, I have a photo of Mount Rainier, which I'm kind of modeling this after, in case you're wondering. After all, the Mount Rainier makes a fine model. Very good modeling student. So again, reference material helps. We're just going to carry this. Notice how I'm making it a little lighter now. And a little bit of this snowpack up there. Not trying to get too much detail, but kind of enough to elaborate on a little bit here as we go. There's a little tiny peaklet here. Peaklet, I don't know if that's a real word, but I'll use it today. Like I said, we're going to just start making that really, I'm going to make that nice and wet in there. Ooh, look, use your fingers if you want. We're going to start drawing down that gray. And I want it to kind of float. It might take a little work on that, but the idea is to kind of make the mountain float. Which it often seems like it's doing when you're looking at it. Kind of like leave it kind of painterly Monet style. Ah, sweet. I can almost see the little glaciers and stuff up there, huh? Sometimes I work on a part of a painting for a little while and give it a rest. Come back to it. I think that's what we're going to do with the mountain here. I like it though. That's fun. Sweet. Look at that. In fact, let me get a nice look at that. Ooh. Can almost see the climbers up there, huh? My nephew Matt Yates has summited Mount Rainier. Big mountain, over 14,000 feet. He's summited it many times. He's quite the athletic young man. All right, I might be talking a little bit quiet. See how the mic is working. All right. If you can't hear me, then you can't hear me. Reminds me of a true story. I was on an airplane with a business colleague, and we're looking at those cards that you get in the seat back of the airplane, you know. And this is a true story. Right in the print, it says, if you cannot read this, please ask a flight attendant for help. Think about it. Brilliant. Yep. If you cannot read what you're reading, ask a flight attendant for some help here. Okay. Sweet. True story. It'll go down in history as the story of the seatback card in the airplane. I don't usually get into this level of detail so early, but man, I'm having so much fun with the mountain. That as well, huh? Sometimes just let the brush do the work too, by the way. Let the brush do the work. Man, I don't know if you can see what I'm seeing here, but this is fun. There's that mountain starting to form. There we go. All right. Mountains, sky, calm day out there. What are we going to do now? Well, we got to start delineating some more of the landscape here. So we're going to put a nice little swath of middle tone in here. Indicates where that landmass kind of ends. Notice I haven't used any green, and we're painting a whole peninsula full of trees here. No green. This is just blue and gray and white. Just blue and gray and white. Yeah, people ask me sometimes, oh, is this like Bob Ross? And I will say that I've been inspired a lot by Bob Ross. You'll know him. Makes happy trees, stuff like that. But you know, I dig it because in art, or what I try to do anyway, is I'm trying to inspire some feeling, some emotion or feeling with the viewer. And I do a lot of peaceful paintings because I like peace. One of my nicknames, by the way, in case you haven't heard, this is top secret. One of my nicknames is War and Peace. Think about it. War and Peace. A little conflict sort of there, but yeah, not too many people know me by that, but this is a fun painting already, I'm telling you what. All without using any green. Ooh, and I'm a green, I love green stuff. Love green imagery. Green's a great color, but just opted out of that today. Try a little bit different idea here. What I want to do is I'm going to work on the, if you see where my brush is, I'm going to try to, oh, as Yoda says though, right? Don't try, do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some treetops in here. Again, just using that pretty dark color. Just a gray. In this case, I'm dabbing it on with a big old fan brush. But look how loaded I got that. That brush is loaded. It means it's rich or it's inebriated. I don't know, both. It's a rich brush, though, that's for sure. Look at that. Whoa! I'm amazing myself. Whoa. That was a good idea. That there was a really good idea for a brush. I'm just kind of, oh, look at that. I like that. That's cool. It was an accident. It hit my camera. I'm going to leave it. It could be some sort of weird cloud formation. Sweet. There's no bad accidents in our... I'm going to leave it, I tell you. At least for now. That's funny. I'm going to do that same thing over here. These are a little bit smaller because they're farther in the distance, right? So smaller little dabs. So I better get a smaller fan brush. I'm a big fan of fan brushes. You've heard me say it. I'm laughing at my own jokes today. All right, I'm gonna go here, get ourselves a little bit of action on that peninsula here. Paint the edge. My daughter Amber taught me that. I think Amber, are you on the show today? Let's see. Check the chat panel. Oh yeah. Yeah, we're playing with color today, but so we're minimalist. We're going minimalist on this almost, right? I mean, where's all the color? Where's Warren's color? He's big on color. Lots of greens and blues, sometimes reds and yellows. I mean, striking colors. Let me show you one. You want to see color? I mean, look at this painting. Wow! Ah! Holy tacos here. Look at that color, right? I do enjoy that sort of thing. Desert paintings, a lot of color in them. But today, Wisconsin says serene, peaceful. So we're going to get that peaceful, easy feeling out of this painting, I think. I hope. Let's see here. I need to make this pretty sharp delineation of land mass, middle ground versus fore-middle, I guess you'd call it. Then I need to start working along the shoreline here. I mean, nothing is really perfectly straight in nature. Although sometimes I try to make it that way. In this case, it's just progressing right along. Look at that. I got my, that's the end of my brush right in this close-up cam. That's cool though, huh? That is cool. Lay in a little bit more of that. Now I'm just literally laying in some, rolling my brush and laying in a little bit of this pure Payne's gray. People often say it's black. A very famous politician often says, you know, people don't know something or other, and then a very well-known linguist pointed out that what that really means is that person just found out. I'll let you guess who that is I'm talking about. Famous politician, very much in the news. Most people don't know. I just found that out. That's what that means. I gotta zoom right in on that. That's a lot of fun right in there. Look at that. Whee! I don't know, it kind of looks almost chilly, huh? Well, it's been a little chilly, you know. We turned the corner. It's officially fall here. And here's this explosion. I don't know what that is, but my brush hit the close-up cam and it made that whoosh over there. Make something out of that. Now, you know, that sky does sort of look peaceful. Along with the mountain over there. Now I do want to go back in, now that I'm thinking about it. I'm going to start just putting a tiny bit more dark in the mountain, because this is, after all, the shady side. This is the north side. See, I said I'd come back to the mountain. I don't know what happened there. So on average, these paintings tend to take about 2, maybe a little more these days. I've been adding more detail in my paintings, I think, for whatever reason, just because I want to. They tend to take about 2 live sessions, give or take. I think I've done about, I'm going to have to count them up, but I think this is about getting close to 40 of these episodes. I'll check on that. Been a lot of fun. In case you're wondering why I do it because I enjoy it. It's not a big money maker. I make a little bit on YouTube, but this isn't the whole point here. The point is, I enjoy it, and I hope you enjoy your art too. It's just, and you know, my granddaughter, Marigold Star Olson, sweetest thing in the world. She once asked her mom, who texted me this question. And the question was, and I paraphrase, does my painting have to be perfect? She asked. And I immediately texted back and said, tell her, no, Marigold. Art is not about perfection. But I like to think of it this way. If you like to create things that basically are coming out, visions of your mind's eye, think of it maybe this way, is that while perfection might be an impossible goal, it could be that striving for perfection creates excellence. And excellence is whatever you decide it is. So think about it, if you will. Anyway, we're having a good time on this painting, aren't we? I'm going to poll the audience and see if I'm blowing anything up, or see if anybody has any comments here. Lots of comments. Well, but nobody said I've destroyed the painting yet, which is good. Like I said, I want to kind of make that mountain float. But it's levitating. That's what I'm working on. I want that mountain to float. So now we get to switch gears. We get to go in and start working on the water. Now, I've got my little 21-foot sloop penciled in here. So I'm going to work around that because I don't want to forget. This painting has sailboat in it. At least one, maybe we'll put a couple. I don't know. Ooh, pan left to right on that. Okay, I'm gonna crank her down, but crank the camera down, but let's crank it up a notch here. Sweet, I'm gonna get another big brush. All right, now in this case, I've got a decision or two to make. What I want to do now is just start developing some light and dark over the water here. I love this part because, don't try this at home unless you've been trained and have life-saving gear and stuff, because what I'm about to do is always, it's fun, but it's dangerous. I'm going to put my big swaths of color in for the water here. What the heck, let's just do it. Let's just do it. Okay. You always hear me get a kick out of that. It's scary. You got to commit. Gonna do another one. Got to commit. Be non-committal. Not at this stage. You've got to commit. I've got this idea here that I'm going to do. I'd come up with ideas right on the fly sometimes, a lot of times. And sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But what I'm doing right now is I'm going to leave that nice and wet. And I'm going to come back in with a really tiny brush. Haha, fooled you. Gigantic brush, and I'm going to load that thing up with paint. This is Bob Ross style for sure. I'm just going to load that thing up, and I'm going to come across this painting. I think I'll go like that. Yeah, man. And I want continuous motion on that brush. So we're getting some water, making it happen. So that politician I was talking about is not Joe Biden's son. In case you're wondering. You can watch newsreels, you'll figure out who it is. Well, I must say, today's painting is moving right along. I usually try to keep these episodes to within an hour. We'll stick close to that today. And I bet we're going to be 61.8% through this painting today by the time this episode is wrapping up. But I must say, I've enjoyed it so far. I hope you have. And by the way, if you're just joining us, you've happened across the live painting channel. My name is Warren Stokes, your host. We're doing a painting inspired by our sailing trip. Me and my son Jason and my daughter Iris and my whole family spent a lot of time sailing. Iris and my wife Justine, Jason, Amber, and I, we sailed a lot. Jason was actually born on a sailboat trip. Sorry to let the cat out of the bag there, Jason, if you're listening. But sure enough, spent his first few months sailing. Got sea legs. Maybe it's no wonder he really enjoys sailing. At least I think he does. So, anyway, I digress. I'm going to take a progress photo of this. I actually forgot to do that a little earlier. Because it's nice to kind of see the progression. I share that with folks from time to time. All right, you know what? Bold sometimes pays off on that water. Look at this, just the texture of it. Sweet. Only spontaneous brush doing its own thing could give you that kind of effect there. The brush has a mind of its own, that's for sure. And what I will be doing is layering this. We'll get into this a little bit more in the next episode, but we'll be layering this water to get kind of a cool effect of shimmering and water movement and stuff. I don't mind there being some pretty Monet looking brush strokes in this either. Especially since, as I said, this is kind of going to be a Monet style. Inspired by Claude Monet, one of the best artists of all time. In my opinion. Of course, you know how you could tell when someone's well informed, don't you? It's when they share the same opinion as you, right? Of course. So if anyone out there agrees that Claude Monet is one of the best artists of all time, you're in good company. Let me just tell you, you're well informed. No artist worth his salt doesn't get paint on their hands, huh? Look at that. Well, while that's a little bit wet, I'm going to take another fan brush. This one I've intentionally kind of, look at that, kind of made crow's feet out of it. It was mostly clean, a little bit, it must have been a little bit of something left in there because I was able to kind of create a crow's feet effect on that. So while that paint's still wet, I'm gonna utilize that. By just creating a little bit of effect across here. Now this is where that's almost pure blue that I'm putting in there. Almost pure ultramarine blue. A little white. Get into the rhythm of that, huh? Rhythm. You know, the water just changes colors and tints and hues constantly, so kind of what I'm trying to get the effect here is that a lot of different subtle things going on with that water. Shoot, that's great. Well, we are just about there. We are just about to the stopping point. So, hey, thanks for joining me today. My name is Warren Stokes, the host of the Live Painting Channel. We will continue this painting next Sunday, 11 a.m. Pacific time. See what happens. One thing I know is going to happen, there's going to be a sailboat in it. It's my theme at the moment. And by the way, if you're on Twitch right now, just follow me. It helps me get enough points to post videos on Twitch, but you can always find these videos, these live videos recorded on Facebook and YouTube simply by searching for Live Painting Channel. You guessed it. My name is Warren, your host. Thank you for another great episode, and we'll see you next Sunday.